Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to walk through how to turn ADO Sentry strings into a very efficient load time. One of the big challenges that has been a common complaint since the library launched has been the load times. A lot of people have discovered, little nuances like Windows Defender and things like that, which do cause a lot of problems, but it does not resolve this big central piece of that, which is that a single patch, the Violins 1 patch, takes on a computer that is as optimized as possible nearly 28 seconds to load. Now, I did this, I've run multiple time tests for the last week. It never changes. It's within microseconds. I'm running a 5K iMac, the fastest i7 processor is available. SSDs over Thunderbolt. I've tried everything. Battery saves. Ultimately, it comes down to the fact that the file itself had the NKI that's provided by ADO has a ton of groups in it. I get why they do it, and I absolutely don't have any complaints because what they want to have is one interface that has everything that you need. However, when it takes 28 seconds to load, that breaks a lot of workflows. For me, I really very much like disabled templates. And in a disabled template, you expect right click and the patches to load in a very small amount of time. And when I'm talking 28 seconds, I'm not talking about 28 seconds of watching a bar of samples load. I'm talking about 27 seconds of beach ball and less than a second of the little 32 megabytes being pumped into RAM. That's the actual quick part. The very beginning gets bottlenecked, and it's because all of these different mic positions are looking for the 200 gigs worth of compressed samples. And that's a lot of samples, and all of the different groups and zones are causing it to kind of go into a CPU bottleneck meltdown. And so what we're going to do is we're going to strip out everything we don't need. If you're running mixed mics, all you want is the mixed mic. You don't need all these others. That reduces the time effectively down to less than 4 seconds a patch. That is expected. That is normal. If you are like me and you prefer to do close mics and then put those close mics in seated orchestral position, what we're going to do is actually put these mics into, just by the nature of how we're doing this, they'll have to be in a close 1 patch, a close 2 patch, and a close 3 patch. What we're ultimately doing is we're going to delete out different mic positions. Now, I want to talk about one principle that's going on. These mic positions are listed in the GUI as mixed, deca wide, close 1, close 2, and close 3 if it has a close 3 position. So what actually is going to happen is all of our mic positions, when we delete them out, are going to only play through the mixed position. That is the only way I could get this thing figured out, and it's a really quick and easy way. There's nothing complicated. Don't be scared. If you aren't a contact editor, you don't really have to worry. This is super easy. What we're going to do, and I really wish I could zoom in on this. This is my first set of videos I've recorded using High Sierra, and after recording 5 videos today, I realized that the zoom function doesn't work. So typically I would zoom in for you. I'm doing that on my screen. It looks nice and full and zoomed all the way in on the little wrench icon. Now, but you can see that it does a lot of screen tearing and doesn't work. Anyway, so I apologize. So we're going to have to keep this all zoomed out. That's apparently an issue with High Sierra and their screen capture feature right now. So if you didn't know that, surprise, I found out after I did the 5 videos. So anyway, if I sound a little hoarse, that's why. All right, so to get started, first thing you want to do, duplicate any of the ADO patches that you are going to be rebuilding. For me, I took all 5 of them, violins 1, 2, violas, cellos, and basses, and I duplicated them out 4 different times. I wanted a mixed mic, a close 1, close 2, and close 3. So that was my process. If you want the deck in wide, go for it. Just so you know, the close 1, close 2, and close 3 seem to be mono mics. So if you are all about orchestral placement, that's a really wonderful thing. You can put those right where you want them to be. The mixed mics, deck in wide, this is recorded straight away, so the panning depends. If you like full orchestral seating, then that's going to be a little off. So if you like the new modern sound, then that's going to work beautifully. I like a combination. Sometimes I've got the mixed and I've got the close. So anyway, that's what it is. We're going to click on the wrench icon to get started. Now, at the top of the header, you'll see 5 different buttons, you're going to want to click on Group Editor. When you click on Group Editor, you're going to see that there are a ton of groups. Again, I'm sorry about having to be zoomed out, but to get an idea, if you click the drop-down box next to the Edit All Groups button, you'll see the full list. Now, what you'll notice is that there is a set of lines at the very beginning, and then every so often, there's another set of lines. That's super good news because that's how we're going to take care of this editing. Each of these lines represents a division for mic positions. And because there's so many samples and this had to be created efficiently, the good news is that everything mirrors the group numbers exactly. Otherwise, we'd have some issues. So what we're going to do is we're going to just delete out the groups we don't need. What's going to be important, make sure you have the lines at the very top, and if possible, make sure you have the lines at the very end. So let's say that for this particular patch, what we want to do is only have the close 3 mics instead of the mixed mics. What we're going to do is we're going to delete out the first 5 groups that are listed. Now, before we do that, I want to show you one thing. Click back on the wrench. You'll see that the mixed mic loads at 32 megs. Close 3 loads at 18.79. That I'm almost entirely positive is from it being mono, but it's eventually going to be loading into this mixed position. So I wanted to show you the differences in memory footprints so you can see what's loaded. All right, so we're going to click back. So the first thing that we're going to do, I like to make sure I have manually clicked on something that isn't selected. That deselects anything that may be selected from the developers and make sure that we're on a level playing field. Then I'm going to scroll all the way down to the last group, because this is close 3, and that's the one that we're wanting to do. And then I'm going to scroll all the way up to, oh, there's the line. All right, so we're going to delete everything above the line. So we're going to select the very last patch. All right, now, because I just have to do it, I click off and then click back on it. I know that that's the only thing selected. Call it developer's OCD. I've seen so many things where things get deleted because you don't realize things are selected. Now I'm going to hold shift. I scrolled all the way to the top, select all the different groups, right click, delete selected group, click OK. This is going to take just a second. But it's basically taking out 5/6 of everything that goes on in this patch, which is a wonderful thing. So this gives us the close 3 mic by itself. How do I know? Now, I'm going to click on the second one just to click off of everything. All we have is one set of articulations in here. Now, when we click on the wrench icon, you'll see that the mixed position has nothing in memory. And if we go through this, deca nothing, wide nothing, close 2 nothing, close 3, guess what? Nothing. Don't be surprised. What's not enabled right now is the mixed mic. So we have to go back and select mixed. And then mixed loads in that first set of samples. And that first set of samples is only the close 3. So 18.7 megabytes there for the memory footprint. And it's flowing through the main mixed position. So even though it's a close mic, it's flowing through there. That's the only thing that you need to understand. All the mics get shifted to the left. Whichever one is last man standing gets the left position. And you need to make sure it mirrors with the lines at the very top. Make sure those are there. Anything else is going to offset everything and could cause some problems. We just want it to mirror everything that the mixed mic normally looks like. So all that said, you have that, then you save it, which we'll do in just a second. I really want to emphasize, after you do all your deleting, your last step when you get into the routine should be to click back on the main page, click something like the deca mic, and then click back on mixed. And that will unconfuse it from the samples it lost in memory. And then you're ready to save. So then we're going to X out, click yes, and that will save our patch. And the next patch will load in somewhere in the neighborhood of less than 4 seconds, meaning it loads basically when you click on it. This makes Century Strings an amazingly efficient engine for a very complex set of samples. You just have to do this yourself, unfortunately. The other thing to keep in mind, so for example, if you wanted to stack them into multis, before you would have had 5 different patches that would take 30 seconds to load. So that would be 2.5 minutes just to load a multi. You've got 5/6 of the load time of a single violin patch for all 5 sections total. So that's really efficient. This works. There were a lot of user complaints that Anthology loaded really long, and I don't own Anthology. I was not an Adagio owner. I was trying to hold out till they released Century Strings, and I did. But I'm betting I go all in on it that everything that Anthology would mirror the same thing, because they started the interface there before they rolled it into Century. So you should be able to do the same thing and remove out all those groups. If you're only using mixed, that's all you need. You don't need all the other ones. If you're using close, you can put those in 3 separate patches. Either have them load in as a multi later on, or have them as 3 separate instruments in your template, and that way you can place them in 3D space, which is really awesome. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.